home this morning. 6 people, including a mother and her 2 children, are missing after they were swept away by floods in the Eastern Cape. The provincial government has confirmed that at least 145 people have been displaced as a result of flooding in Komani. Disaster management teams remain on high alert across the province. For more on this, we're joined by the mayor in the Hani District, Wongama Gela, joins us via our video link this morning. Wongama, thanks very much indeed for coming on. I think perhaps as a start, it's important to get the latest figures from you. We've got several reports saying that 2 out of those 6 people, their bodies have been recovered so far. But what are the latest figures that you have? Wongama, good morning. Are you able to hear me? It's Michelle.
Yes, Michelle. How are you?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on, Mr. Mayor. I want to ask you about the latest information you have on search and rescue efforts insofar as those 6 people who have been swept away by floods.
Well, the 6 people have been discovered around the district and not necessarily in Komani. But in Komani, the latest is 3 figures. The latest woman being discovered in the early hours of Saturday morning, swept by floods. But of course, the family has been able to identify the body, and indeed, as the municipality were quite pleased that the family was able to identify the body.
Yeah, heartbreaking what unfolded in that part of the Eastern Cape over the weekend. What is the situation there now insofar as flooding is concerned, and just how many people have been impacted?
It's about 6 fatalities at the moment, but of course there's damage to bridges, damage to roads, but also a number of households have been displaced as a result of these floods. We are currently housing more than 1,000 households, family members, in a school called Galitembani here in Komani, who have been severely affected by these floods. So it's quite a very bad situation.
Yeah, I understand that 15 classrooms at one high school have also been damaged. What's the plan insofar as schooling is concerned, as your province tries to now, piece together what's unfolding there?
Well, what we decided to do as a district municipality was to reactivate what we call Joint Operations Committee, which is composed of leaders from all 6 local municipalities within the district. Of course, part of the membership of the Joint Operations Committee are your sister departments, your Department of Transport, your Human Settlement, your SASA, and so on and so on. All of them have come to the party. The Department of Education, working with the Department of Transport, are assisting those who are learners, transporting them from where they are housed to schools which are almost nearby and back. Of course, we also have the Department of Health also coming in and providing services on wheels where these people are currently housed at the current moment.
Yeah. Bridges washed away over the weekend. It really is a disaster what's unfolding in the Eastern Cape. So as of this Monday morning, insofar as disaster management operations are concerned, what does that look like when there is such widespread damage?
Yesterday, we convened about 2 political Joint Operations Committee meetings. The first was to get a sense in terms of the various reports, because we do have officials from the department, or rather from the Disaster Management Center of the district municipality, who are on an ongoing basis undertaking the assessments as we will get a report from various parts of the district. And yesterday we were to consider that consolidated report that would have been submitted from all affected municipalities within our own district. The intention really was to consolidate that report and point out where the damages are, get in the engineers so that they can do the costing, so that we have a clear understanding of what would be required in terms of rebuilding processes, and then submit that report to the Disaster Management Center of the province And again, the expectation is that the report must then be aligned in line with the set of a template as required by National Treasury, so that National Treasury, and again, as all of us are aware, that a disaster has been declared at the national level. The local municipalities are doing likewise. The district municipalities sitting on Wednesday to also follow suit in terms of the declaration of disaster. But I must just add that more and above what we require from government, people from all walks of life, different organizations, the business sector are coming to the party to provide immediate relief in terms of food, in terms of uniforms, and that would be required by those who are learners, and all other necessities that are currently required in the immediate. But of course, the long term is to try and get some funding from national government so that we are able to start the rebuilding process. We're also hopeful that there won't be any more floods, because as you would have these numbers today, then rains would start, and then there would be the discovery of new damages, and then the report would have to be updated.
Yeah.
So we're hopeful that there won't be any more floods moving forward, because our report is then required to be kept on updated with the latest information.
Yeah. That leads me to my next question for you, Wongama. It's the issue around how prepared we are for disasters of this nature. What would have been the early warnings that area would have gotten? And is there any way of trying to mitigate just the kind of damage that we've seen in so many parts of the Eastern Cape?
Look, first and foremost, our district is working closely with the South African Weather Service, and indeed on an ongoing basis, we do send out those weather early warning signs shared across the district. Because we have a forum where all 6, including the district 7, the local mayors, we do send out that information. But of course, as that relates to the infrastructure across the district, your roads, your bridges, they are in such a bad state. So I think moving forward would be to attend to some of those infrastructure and to a state where it won't be as easy if some of these floods do strike again. Yeah. But as I say, in the main, we do, working with the South African Weather Service, send out notices on an ongoing basis.
So it's long-standing infrastructure issues that have also led us to the position that we're in now, with such widespread damage, particularly to bridges. So there are other issues that now come from the situation we're in now in the Eastern Cape, right? The one is access to clean running water. Is that a priority? Has it been prioritized from your side, Wongama?
Yes, it is one of the challenges that we're currently confronted with as a district. Like I said, the infrastructure is quite old, but secondly, the infrastructure was built for a few. The population has doubled, if not tripled, and as a municipality, we're quite struggling in dealing with some of those issues. Of course, from the side of the planning division of the municipality, business plans have been developed, and we've submitted some of those business plans to the Department of Water and Sanitation. I think all of us can appreciate the fact that we're a rural district municipality with a very low income base. And part of our operations are mostly funded either from the equitable share, but also in terms of the conditional grants that we get from time to time as it relates to the business plans that we submit and get approved. It is then when that we are able to attend to some of the infrastructure projects, particularly services that relate to water and sanitation. But of course, in our own district, we are dealing with such bad state of roads, bridges, and other related necessary infrastructure, which is quite old in the main.
Wongama Gela, let me thank you for your time this morning. The Hani District Mayor, as we continue to unpack just widespread infrastructure and human the human cost of the flooding that's been hitting the Eastern Cape province. 6 people missing after being swept away by floods in the Eastern Cape. We understand a number of those rescues took place just over the weekend. It's certainly a story we're watching for you here on 405.